All right, Suzlon came out with a very good set of numbers. Revenues were up 50% in line with estimates, but it is the operational metrics wherein there was a significant beat. EBITDA up 78%, margins at 18.2 versus 15.3, as a result of which there's doubling of PAT in Q1 FY25. Himanshu Mody, CFO of the company, joins in to talk about those numbers and the outlook ahead. Mr. Mody, good having you. Thanks for taking the time out. Congratulations on what seems to be a very strong quarter. I mean, was this some pent-up or rollover orders that got executed into this quarter, which were not done in the last quarter or two? Or is this an indication of what is up ahead from Suzlon in the quarters to come?
I would say it is more of the latter. I mean, as we've always met in the previous quarters, our order book significantly ticked up from December 23 onwards. And, of course, whilst execution takes its time to start showing up results, but in the two scenarios that's pointed out, it's not a rollover of prior orders. It is just execution of our order book, which is yet to come. So we have a 3.8 gigawatt order book, which we are, looking forward to rolling out over the next 18 to 24 months.
So what was the execution, pardon me for not having the number offhand, but what was the execution done in the quarter, and what is the target execution that you're laying out for the rest of the year or for FY25 out of this 3.8 gigs?
So we did 274 megawatts of deliveries in Q1, April to June 24. Our estimate, whilst of course we don't give Suzlon specific guidance on what we will do in this financial year, but as a country, our estimate is whilst we did 3.3 gigs in FY24, our estimate is that we do about 4.5 to 5 gigs in FY25. Now, a fair share of that, whatever we could do as Suzlon, out of our 3.8 gigawatt, we will strive to do that.
Mr. Mody, good morning. Tamanna here. So among the other things, you talked about the 274 megawatt delivery. That's, I believe, your highest ever Q1 deliveries in 7 years, along with the highest ever quarterly EBITDA in 7 years. I'm just wondering if this is something that you can replicate in quarter two, since this is the peak that you've hit, and why do you think that this is sustainable?
I think it is clearly sustainable because, as we always said, our order book is there. These are all confirmed orders from marquee clients, both in the IPP and C&I segment. On a large scale basis, the green energy story or the renewable energy story is here to stay. A lot of IPPs or C&I customers have realized that this is the future. Everyone has their own ESG or carbon neutral targets to be met. So clearly, if the industry has to achieve, from a wind perspective, we are at about 46 gigawatts as a country. And the government has set a target to reach about 100 gigawatts by 2030 in the next 6 years. So the entire industry is geared up towards meeting those targets. And as a result, we are seeing significant uptake in wind industry installations year on year. So as I said, we will see about 4.5 to 5 gigawatts this year, which is about a 50% increase from FY24.
Okay. Mr. Mody, you do not give specific guidance, I understand, but out of a 3.8 gigawatt order book, if you've done 274 megawatt, if I just average it out over the next 7 quarters, it would mean 500 gigawatts on average. And I know averages don't work out that way, but the limited point I'm making is that you are on course for a significant uptick from this 274 gigawatt if you to execute the whole 3.8 gigawatts, which means that you will do at least 5x of quarter one or 4x of quarter one in the remaining 3 quarters at the very least. Would that be a fair assumption?
So let me give you another metric.
Sure.
Typically H1, in the historical years for Suzlon, H1 has been about 35% of what we do in the entire year. So of course, half of H1 is over. When we come back with Q2 results at some point in October, whatever we would have done by September, it is a fair assumption that that would be about 35% of what the entire financial year holds. So I think more specific estimates would be available by the year end. And I think there are, several analyst reports out there now on Suzlon, which peg the estimates at different levels.
Fair call. Yeah, but I just wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth as opposed to depending on the analyst, because at times, and rightfully so, companies will say that's the analyst view, but our view is different. So best to get the company view. The second question that I have out here is, would all of this execution happen with the kind of operational metrics that you've shown for the current quarter, which is EBITDA margins of 18-19%, part one? And part two, there's a lot of talk of you being a front runner in bagging an EPC contract in Karnataka, which is over 1 gigawatt. Any updates there?
So to answer the first part of your question, whether 18-19% of our margins, so that's a consolidated margin. We have three businesses, divisions, which is the WTG manufacturing, O&M, and our foundry and forging division. So our O&M is, of course, the highest margin that does about 40 to 43% operating margin. So far as the foundry and forging is concerned, that's close to about 15 to 20% margin. And the WTG business, which will see a significant uptick over the next few quarters, is about in the late single digits, or close to about 8% margins in the Q1. Now, based on how the WTG story plays out and what kind of volumes we are able to do, will define the consolidated margins. But yeah, I mean, somewhere I would say in the mid-teens is where we should be able to maintain our margin with higher absolute numbers.
Mid-teens would be a disappointment, Mr. Mody. I mean, 18.2 versus 15.3. You saying
no, that's still, as I said, it won't be a disappointment. You need to look at the three business divisions. And if
yeah, but I'm looking at consol, Mr. Mody. So consol margins you are saying would be at about 15% with an upward bias.
Consol would be a misnomer, because anything that we do or WTG business, but whatever we do in manufacturing also rolls out into the O&M data. So which is why I said that you need to look at three business divisions. And if the WTG business, which is a single digit margin, is growing in the overall pie, it will have an impact on the consolidated margin. That's how you need to look at it.
Okay, fair call. Just that update on the order win in Karnataka. I mean, the talk is of an over 1 gigawatt order win. You're a front runner.
So, we don't, I don't want to comment on any specific orders till we have that in the kitty. Of course, from time to time, we participate in bids and different orders. Once we have the order wins confirmed with the clients, we will come out with those announcements to the street.
Mr. Mody, a significant portion of orders are coming in from Karnataka and Rajasthan, if I'm not mistaken, about upward of 40% odd. Just trying to get a sense if you see that continuing. Are there more avenues that you're looking at, more states?
So there are other states. Of course, whilst the activity is, you're right, is fairly high in Karnataka and Rajasthan of our current order book. But states like Andhra Pradesh are also significantly showing an uptick, which you will see in the next few quarters, also having a decent pie in the overall order book.
Let's talk a little bit more about Andhra Pradesh, if you can. More push there coming in for Andhra Pradesh, good allocation in the budget as well. And the kind of sort of policymaker Chandrababu Naidu will want to focus on alternate energy. Can you give us a little more detailing on what you're expecting from Andhra Pradesh orders?
So we already have certain orders that we are looking at in Andhra Pradesh. We are also focusing, on our development business in states like Andhra, Rajasthan, and Karnataka, so that we have enough land bank and power acquisition available in those states, which we can cater to our clients on the manufacturing side as well. So Andhra clearly is one of those states where we see a significant policy push coming in the renewable energy sector. We have had a strong presence in Andhra historically as Suzlon, and going forward, we will continue to look at strengthening that position in the state.
Just one last comment from you, Mr. Mody, on the budget. No clear allocations this time, but the overall motherhood statements on renewable and alternate energy. What does it mean for Suzlon and for the space?
No, I think, the regulatory push and the push from the government of India, as I said earlier, the objective is very clear. We need to get to, as an industry, to about 100 gigawatts by 2030. We have our task cut out as an industry, and therefore as Suzlon, we are all working towards that. whilst budget is an important event, but we don't need to wait for that one single day event importantly, because the year-round policy push and focus on deliveries towards meeting that increased renewable energy target remains.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mody. So that was Suzlon Energy's, top management talking about the plans ahead, and of course, the stock continues to do well. The numbers have been really good, and I think what's interesting, Neeraj, is what a turnaround story for Suzlon. Turnaround story is the headline coming out of this. Seemed really down in the dumps at some point, but
Yeah, some years ago, yes.
has really turned around. All right, very short break, but on the other side, we speak